So right now we're working on a driver's side quarter panel. We're just getting the main pieces made to the buck. So right now I'm doing some stretching with a mallet. Trying to get this thing where it'll basically submit to this shape that we're trying to produce here, which is kind of a reverse curve. So what we have now is a rough out stage where we try to basically beat the whole thing in submission, get a general shape with a lot of stretching with the mallet, and then we'll put it through the English wheel and kind of smooth out a lot of the acorns and big dents that you see, and then we'll make a separate piece for the lower section of the rear quarter, and we'll go ahead and weld those together and planish that out. So when you're English wheeling, you want to try to keep the contact patch from the lower die. Kind of like if you were painting, you have a 50 or 75% overlap. You want to start off with a light tension and kind of work it through and try to hold the panel parallel with the shape you're trying to make. And with that track pattern, you can kind of see different shades of light here, and you can see where the wheel is touching and where it's not. And the idea is to get that streak through there throughout the panel, so you know you've hit the whole thing and it starts to smooth out. So you can see before where it had a bunch of walnuts in it, it's starting to smooth out already. You know, you can kind of see one here, but it was a lot deeper earlier. So we're getting a little closer here. This is kind of the general idea. We got a little more work to do, but basically, you know, we'll cut another sheet and we'll produce this section here, and then we'll work on the larger section with the most shape, which is the section above the wheel itself. And then we'll get all these things shaped out, and then we'll tack them together. So, because it's such a large panel, we made separate pieces, and the buck gets us really close, but it's not like perfect. So we like to set it on the car and try to set it up with some sheet metal screws or clecos to kind of hold it to the car in the position we want it. And then I went ahead and welded the last piece here, and we're just planishing that weld out, and then we'll go through and block and DA. And then we'll start adding other pieces. So this has a trim that goes in the center of it, where you kind of see where these holes are. And we're going to basically cut this panel in half, and then we'll create that channel, and we'll take some measurements from the other side and go back and forth a couple times until we get that set up. We already have templates for the attachment point for the lower section and the lower section in the back. It's just finding out where to clip it in the back exactly, because originally the back would touch off, you know, on a regular quarter, but as we're making these as a wide body, the lower sections, as it comes closer to the wheel well in the back, is going to be a little wider. So in this section right here, it's about 1.25 inches wider, and then there'll be fiberglass from here down that's going to get wider. But this channel for the trim will be right around this area. But because it sticks out, we're going to set a laser on the door and a straight line, so we can tell where this line that, you know, is going to be straight here will touch off where it touches off here in the back. So it's just setting the laser up and making sure everything's level and ride height is perfect, so we can get everything in straight lines. So when you stand back from the car, everything appears to be linear. So right now I'm trying to finish this lower dimension. So in the back portion here, this part of it's a lower bumper, and it's all made out of fiberglass, and it bolts in through here. So because it's two different types of material, we're gonna later build the lower piece here out to fit the quarter panel, all out of fiberglass. But because the sheet metal obviously needs to come out to that designated area, we have this plate here. We're going to take the bolts out of this lower section, and we'll slide it in and kind of bolt it in the factory location, and then we'll push once I get the correct height here, because right now I just took a measure from one side to the other, and you're going to find that a lot of times that from one side to the other the car is not the same. So right now this is an initial cut, and I measured from this point down to here, and it's supposed to be 16.5 from one side to the other, and this is about 1/2 inch longer than it needs to be, because if I put this piece here, and you can look from the back, it's not parallel at all, and it needs to look like it's a 90-degree angle almost. And to get there, I need to take another 1/2 inch off on this quarter panel. So basically I'm slowly trimming the panel that's here upward until I reach the point where that trim used to be, and then I can go ahead and add this piece onto that lower section, and that lower part of the quarter panel will then be solid mounted.
Sean's finally got the quarter panels all built. It looks pretty close to exactly like the foam, which is what we were going for. Super happy with how they turned out. Really nice finish. You can see there's going to be very, very little filler work in them. And it's got the factory groove. What I think I like the most about the way this turned out is it really looks like something that Ferrari would have made. Kind of gives me some 288 GTO vibes. One of my favorite parts of how this turned out is the scoop opening. The 308, obviously everybody knows, has a scoop like this, but we went ahead, and because the flare came out, we added almost 2 inches of depth to the scoop, which gives it a really beefy look, but it flows in so nice that you wouldn't even notice that it's been widened. But it turned out super sick. I've been thinking of things that we need to use those for, because on the factory car they kind of don't do a whole hell of a lot, so we need to come up with something to make them work. If you want to see more about the Ferrari project, you can check us out on Instagram, and the link will be in the bio on the bottom. scoop looks really cool.